kind of the timing here. We said there might be a secondary line. I think the secondary line is going to be just showery. You can see by 10 o'clock things kind of fizzle out. To me, the most exciting part of this whole forecast going into the weekend is last weekend we had crazy intense heat. Remember 101 and 102, and now we're talking temperatures this weekend that might be only in the 70s.
That's amazing.
Morning lows in the 60s. Now, to put this in context, we have not seen a low temperature below 70 degrees, meaning no 60s at all, for 36 days now.
Okay, so I updated this.
What is it?
You want to
How
guess?
many days?
You want to guess,
I'm saying 36, but
James?
I feel like
I
it's
counted
been.
to be sure.
I feel like it's been a year, so I don't even know anymore.
41.
Wow.
41.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Full month of July plus last 10 days of June, and then including this morning.
My gosh.
I
that's-
actually double checked because I was like, that seems really long. Yeah.
So less than 70, the longest. I mean, I'm trying to see what that, because it blew by a while ago. But I'm kind of curious what the number one was before.
30 days.
30 days. So we
August
blew past it.
2016.
Wow.
I actually pulled it up on traffic if you want it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we
Oh,
go.
no, it's okay. I just updated it.
That's
earlier.
crazy. Yeah.
So
that's
30 days in August 2016, sorry to cut you off, Brad, but also 30 days in 1993.
Yeah.
Which obviously we've talked about.
So it's been a while. I mean, that's crazy to see that many days in a row without seeing 60. So you got to go back to, it was basically mid-June. And the last time we had a high temperature in the 70s was the end of May. And the last time we had a weekend with 70s for both days, Memorial Day weekend, which I remember, that was abnormally cool as well. It was a beautiful weekend, Coca-Cola 600 weekend, and it felt great. And it's been a while since we've seen anything like that. So yeah, the storms you're seeing now, they're pretty active. They're causing a lot of damage out there, but that's kind of what you expect. When you have historic heat wave like we just had, I think we had the 4, 5, and 6 day consecutive hottest periods on record in Charlotte. To go from that to temperatures in the 70s, you're probably going to get severe weather at some point, just because there's usually a big pattern flip. It's not the cold and the warm clashing. It's just the system that causes the change usually has a lot of energy, and that's what causes severe weather. So expect some big changes. Now, tonight we're going to do something a little different. Our show normally ends right about now. We're going to take a small 2-minute break, and we're going to come back, and Brittany and I and James will be here for another half hour. We're going to track these until 7:30, which will pretty much get the severe storms completely out of our area. And if nothing else pops up, we'll go back to our normal WCNC news coverage coming up at 7:30. But stay tuned. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
I guess I should have.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're continuing to track some strong and even severe storms moving through the metro area and most of the southern Piedmont tonight. Typically, we'd be back to some news coverage here, but Brittany Van Voorhees, myself, Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich, and James Bryton are here. We're going to be tracking these storms for another half hour because we expect them to move out of the area. You're seeing some of the video from Providence Road area, big pin oak split there. Thanks, Eric, for sending it in. He did some great report. That's a huge tree, by the way. There is a little bit of rot you could see at the bottom, but it was a pretty healthy tree otherwise. And that's the thing about trees. I mean, sometimes you have no idea what's going on in the middle. And there are signs if you have trees in your yard you're ever concerned about. And maybe one of these shows we're going to bring on one of our tree expert buddies and talk about some of the signs. Usually dead branches. Another thing, insects and birds eating or pecking at the base because there are usually bugs in there. Also look for around like a lot of fungus, like mushrooms and stuff growing near the base. That usually means decaying material of some kind in there. But oftentimes, if it's happening in interior and there's not some way to see it on the outside, it's hard to tell. I'll tell you one thing that works, and it sounds really silly. Go knock on the trunk. If it sounds hollow or it feels hollow, there's voids inside there. That's a problem.
Like trying to find a stud in the wall?
Yeah. It's like you need solid trees. The tree should be thick. And when a tree splits or breaks, it should be splintered and should be little shards. See it right there? How it's kind of that part of the video. You can tell that there was a little rotten part, and it was basically at the base of the tree, which is not great. But we're still tracking these storms. They're pushing east pretty quickly. We only have one warning, and that's till 7:15 for Union County and Chesterfield and Lancaster County. So. We'll see if they extend this, but that storm actually looks like it's weakening, which is...
Yeah.
And I think the reason why, there was a cell down in that area earlier that probably used up some of the energy. So the fuel got eaten up by those storms. But this was our concern, that we would get a cluster like this and it would stall in this location and we would see flash flooding, but this is moving. So that's one of the things I'll tell you. We thought we'd see more of a flood risk today because I expected these storms. The timing was perfection. I mean, these things popped up exactly as we kind of thought on time. The difference is we thought they'd pop up and just sit there and kind of stall and train over the same area and we'd have a flood risk. Well, instead they started cruising along quicker, which meant the wind threat became a much bigger issue. So is our Lylesville camera?
It is, and we're looking south.
So we're looking south. You can see a couple of those rain shafts there, and again, big towering cumulonimbus clouds with those. So these are really impressive looking clouds today. We saw some really good storms coming in from the westerly. Been some great cloud spotting weather here the last couple of days because we've had just beautiful development here. Okay, the one warning was canceled early, so they actually canceled that one early, about 10 minutes early. You don't see that very often. So only one warning left. Usually when it's that close to expiration time, they just let it go. Ooh, that is quite the rain shaft
So that's
there.
now looking towards Richmond County.
Yeah, so that's the new cell that is popping up near Rockingham, by the way. And you could see it on the radar, the bottom of your screen. Notice those cells. I'm going to pause the radar so it's not moving.
Yeah, I'll make the radar a little bigger for everybody.
You can see that cell near Rockingham. So just so you guys know, I'm going to grab my cursor here because this is the only way I can point. So the camera you're looking at is right here. It's between Wadesboro and Rockingham. So it's in a town called Lylesville. He's looking due east here at this storm right here between Ellerby and Rockingham. We were looking at these cells to the south. That's what you saw, those little rain shafts. It was this little cluster, which is basically right on the state line with South Carolina. We had a warning for this part of the storm, but it got canceled. Now we just have the warning for Chesterfield and Lancaster. So this is going to time out pretty good for when we expect this to kind of calm down around 7:30. This stuff should be pretty much either out of the area or falling apart. Now, the secondary line, as anticipated, yeah, there's a couple cells in there, but not as much lightning, not as strong, and I expect that just to be showery. So we did have a lot of power outages, and I think that's a good place to go to next, James, is talk about some of the outages, and we can kind of go around a little bit, and James is going to navigate here and talk about some of the Duke Power. Now, we know there's more than Duke Power providing power to people, but Duke's the biggest provider in our area. And for a typical day, these are pretty heightened outages for our area.
Yeah, and I think it's been a minute since we've had kind of large spread outages like this. But if we push in, you can start to see we have a cluster of about 4,000 or 5,000, and this is right here in the South Charlotte area,
Yeah.
not too far from Union County, Arboretum area. Providence Road.
Wonder if that tree is down, and that was Providence Road. Maybe that's the same area.
And I know you were tracking this during the newscast, Brad, but the Doppler radar, the terminal Doppler radar here in Charlotte, was showing 66 mile per hour wind estimates for this area. And so you can see that's just one. Now we've got them, kind of scattered about. We've got another 1,000, maybe 2,000 Duke Energy customers here on the south side of the airport, not too far from where our WCNC studios are. I know you were also watching, Brad, over here in Cabarrus County between Kannapolis and Cornelius. This was about 1,000 customers, and they went out at least 2 hours ago at this point.
Yeah, and I don't know how many customers they have in Rowan, but Rowan showing up is a lot of outages as well. They've got about 4,000 outages.
Yeah, so if I make this full screen for everybody to kind of see, Rowan County right now for Duke Energy has 50 outages impacting about 2,400 customers. They service just under 70,000.
Yeah, and they also have Energy United there, Landis Municipal Power, and Union Power Cooperative, which is based out of Union County. Kind of weird they have customers up there, but on those other carriers, Energy United 460 customers and Union Power Cooperative 960. So I think that's why they're sticking out a little bit more than some of the other counties. And same thing with Union County. Union County has about only 679 Duke customers, but Union County Cooperative is the biggest supplier there. That's a power co-op. And there's about 2,000 people that don't have power on their system.
Across Mecklenburg, it's just under 10,000 customers. And I guess we should say that a customer is like one household or one business.
Yeah.
So if you have a family of 4, that's one customer. Gaston County with Duke has about 3,800. Some of the first clusters we saw coming in were in Iredell County between Statesville and Troutman. And that number is now at about 1,700 customers. I actually think that might be slightly improved from those down power lines. And then what was the other one you were watching? Was outside of our immediate WCNC
it was Cherokee
area?
County,
Cherokee
South
County, right here.
They had a big cluster, so
not too far. If you're watching us from Cleveland County, this is obviously just south of you.
And Gaffney. So think the outlet malls. If you're going down the Gaffney, Rugs at Home down there, not too far from the casino. Go over to Two Kings. There, you're not too far away. People head down there, go eat.
Brad's favorite place.
Yeah, I've never been to the casino yet, by the way. But when they get that thing built up, maybe I will. Because when it first opened, it was kind of crazy. Yeah, and so just power is weird in our area. Duke kind of dominates, but I am always fascinated by the different small power companies. And so in Mecklenburg County, Duke is by far the biggest supplier, but you guys might not even know this. Have you ever heard of these they're from the towns. Concord Electrical System, 42,000 customers in Mecklenburg County. Cornelius Municipal Power in the town of Cornelius, they have 4,000 customers. Energy United, 31,000 customers in Mecklenburg County from Energy United. Huntersville Municipal Power, which means the city sells you your power, 8,000. Pineville has their own power company, which I do know because I've seen their plant. Pineville Municipal Power has 4,000. And then Union Power Cooperative has almost 6,000 customers in Mecklenburg County. So
there's an argument to be made, I guess, in Charlotte, the city gives you water.
Yeah.
So then the other places, they might give you power or internet.
Yeah.
Brad, one thing I didn't see, because it's not a heavily populated Duke area, but I know during the newscast you were watching south of Pineville, maybe over the Fort Mill area. Did we get a downburst there or something?
It clearly looked like the Regent Park area because, so York County emergency manager did report some trees down at Regent Park Parkway. That's a mouthful. I never thought I'd say that, but that's that area which I'm very familiar with. So the old PTL is down in that area. Regent Park, Carowinds is on one side, and Close Springs Greenway is down there, and it's literally on the other side of Pineville. Like, it's a weird area of our viewing area because you're kind of in North Carolina, South Carolina, and you're between like 3 towns. So like you go down there and you're like, am I in Pineville or am I in Fort Mill? Am I in North Carolina? Am I in South? So it's really odd. It's like going to Carowinds and you're in like 2 states and like 2 counties.
Well, you go around even that curve, like if you're going past Carowinds, you go right.
Back.
Yeah, it literally like you loop back and forth, and it's like welcome to North Carolina.
And then you're welcome back to South Carolina. Yeah, so it's a really weird area, but one of the first sports directors I work with, Chuck Howard, he still lives in town. He runs a little business down in that area. I will not talk about that business because I'm not giving free shout outs on the air, but he used to live in Regent Park, so I love that golf course. He used to play it all the time. Really beautiful area, but it's literally like the golf course, when Regent Park Golf Course was there was a couple holes where you play them in South Carolina and then go to the next hole, and it was in North Carolina.
Wow.
So it was always cool. You would tee off from South Carolina and hit into North Carolina. So it was like but that golf course is shut down because it was like many golf courses. They've been shut down and houses being built on them. So, but yeah,
That's where the money.
if you're from this area, you know that's where Tammy Faye and Jimmy had their PTL amusement park they were building down there. That's
Charlotte
a giant
history with
tower
Brad
that's still
Panovich.
there. They haven't torn
Yeah.
down yet.
I think that's cool though about even going to Carowinds. It's like the fact that you're in both states,
Yeah.
essentially like at the same time.
And I
So
think
even
that-
when we've done the meteorology days down there, it's
Yeah.
always so much fun.
And I feel like they claim both states, and they only claim one when they want to. And
Now, I'm going to pivot us back to rain. Brad,
almost done.
let me pop this up on the screen.
Yeah.
This is the river and creek gauges. I know at one point we
Yeah, I
were
was
telling people
looking
to
at
be
'em.
weather alert for the potential of flooding. So how did we do on the flooding front?
we haven't had a lot, but we have had a lot of rain because, like at my house, I'm not too far from South Mech High School. They got 2.31 inches of rain.
That's a lot of rain.
And Brittany and I were looking earlier, the climate data came out before the rain came in, and they ended up getting like 1.17 in 1 hour at the airport. So they got over an inch of rain in less than an hour. Other parts of town that saw some heavy rain. Looking at all the gauges, I would say most of the county got over an inch of rain. So this was a good soaker. It doesn't look like any of the actual
I don't see any flooding stages.
yeah, the streams weren't. Some of the alarms went off for the rain gauges because they got so much in a short period of time. They actually put little thresholds on them, but
Yeah.
none of the stream gauges.
This is the closest one I think of concern.
McKee, where's
This
that?
is Catawba Creek in Gaston County.
Yeah.
So it's at 10 feet, which is minor flood stage. But it
Yeah.
looks like it's maybe already coming back down.
So yeah, all in all, we got a lot of that's. And to me, that's the concern. That if that storm wasn't moving 25 or 30 miles an hour,
Right.
think of how much more rain we would have. If that thing sat over us, we would have had some serious flooding problems because we already got 1 to 2 inches of rain, and that happened in about 20, 30 minutes. So for flooding, that was a concern. And let's also be honest, too, if we see any more showers tonight that have heavy rain that end up kind of parking over Mecklenburg County, we might have some additional flood issues. So that's something to keep in mind. I'll look at the rainfall estimates from our radar here on our computer, and you can see there's a pretty wide swath here in Mecklenburg County. I'll look at the rainfall estimates here.
Looks like Monroe 1. It's behind our bug.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a couple, just some areas in Mecklenburg County. We'll look in Gaston County real quick, and then I'm going to move down to Monroe, and that is the hot spot, right around 74. So going from Matthews down to Indian Trail to Monroe, it does look like that was the hot spot for rainfall. I'm going to put one right over Monroe, 3 inches of rain.
Wow.
So that gives you a good idea of that area. Now, the one saving grace there is typically down there. There's not as much impervious surface. There is in Monroe. Western Union County is developed a lot, but there's still a lot of wide open space there. So if that 3 inches falls over Mecklenburg County, it's probably a different story. We probably have some flooding issues. So I wouldn't, just got another warning there. Let me see what that warning's for. We'll pop that up and see. I think that's going to be for eastern Richmond County.
That's the storm we were watching
yeah.
on this camera.
It's
still
that's
there.
that storm. So ooh, it looks like a little hail shaft in the middle. So kind of see that kind of white looking area in the middle of the rain shaft. That's usually a sign of some hail in that storm. So I'm not going to be shocked if there's a hail report in there. Depending on the lighting, that could be rain, but oftentimes if there's rain and it's dark and you see kind of a white shaft in front of that, that is probably going to be hail in that storm. In fact, I'm going to look at,
We'll zoom in here in a minute, but there's not much more to see.
yeah, it's pretty far away. I'm going to look. So that warning comes out of the Raleigh office, by the way. So, oh yeah, I would say there's definitely hail north of Ellerby near, there might be some in Rockingham too, because there's two little spikes on the radar reflectivity. So what I'm going to do is we will take our Doppler slicer. This is a good time to use our Doppler slicer. So we'll take this storm, we'll slice it in half. This will hopefully give us a good view of it if we can churn. Gotta churn the radar here. Whoops. Sometimes you can do it. It's a little hard to do in this case. So I'm going to grab the Doppler slicer and we'll kind of pivot this back and forth. There is a little spike right there. So, yeah, certainly looks like we have some tops up to 45, 50,000 feet. So definitely looks like hail to me in that storm. And the fact that we have a camera, that's a nice amount of camera. Right there in the middle of the screen, that definitely looks like a hail shaft. So I think there's a little bit of hail in that one for sure out there in Richmond County near Rockingham. So yeah, we kind of expected that storm. That storm's almost out of our area, but most of the warning is heading east as you go towards Fayetteville and the Laurinburg area. If I can ever get my radar to switch. Doesn't want to go back to regular radar.
Brad, we were talking a little earlier in the program about Gaffney, South Carolina.
Yep.
We have a new report from the Weather Service that says the Gaffney Fire Department headquarters on Lime Street had their first floor and truck base flooded.
Wow. That water came down quick. Just saw an LSR from Lancaster County, 911 center, dispatched a tree down and power lines on Great Falls Highway at Douglas Road. So had some trees down there. Yeah, the strongest storm by far is that one now out here in eastern Rockingham area, Hamlet into eastern Richmond County, moving east. And so that warning is for Montgomery, Moore, Richmond, and Scotland County. So give it another 10 minutes. It's halfway through the county already. It's going to be to the east, and it's moving east pretty quickly. That's an area where we did not have storms, so the atmosphere over there is a little more conducive to sustain these, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see the storms as they move into central North Carolina stay severe. So for folks that are watching our stream in areas from Lumberton up to Fayetteville, Sanford, up to Holly Springs, Raleigh area, you're likely going to see severe storms linger. You actually see one warning there south of Raleigh as well. That's for Harnett, Johnston, and a small part of Wake County, which is extreme southern part of the county where Raleigh is based in. Let's quickly look at the storm reports here. I'll pop them back up, and they're starting to fill in a little bit more. We got a lot of wind damage reports. I know Tim is up there tracking a lot of storms as well. He had a lot of wind damage earlier. I know they had, I think they actually cleared the course up there for the Wyndham today.
They did.
Because they had lightning, so they got really lucky yesterday, but today was kind of one of those days where, you're probably going to see some of that up there. So Brittany's in here as well with us, and Brittany, I haven't seen any of the storms that look like, the ones northwest, the secondary line, don't look like they're getting that strong, so I'm not overly concerned with maybe more severe weather, maybe just some rain.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing. I do think, well, first of all, I think the atmosphere is relatively stable, especially in some of these spots. I mean, even at Charlotte Douglas, we joked when we went into the break earlier about how I said 41 days in a row of lows at or above 70, but there's actually a chance that we drop into the upper 60s before today ends, which would technically make it 40. So just want to at least acknowledge that because the temperature dropped from, get the official, from 91 degrees, Brad,
Was
to
that our official
72 within 2 hours.
Well, we kept our 90 streak going. We knew that was going to happen.
The official high was 93. But that's a pretty substantial drop, almost 20 degrees within 2 hour period. So there's a chance that we'll drop to the upper 60s before the end of the day.
I gotta see. I think at my house I got to 69, but we'll see.
I think that you did show me that earlier in the conversation.
But I'm back up to 70 now, so.
Yeah. So it could fluctuate over the next few hours. I will say for anybody who is watching that is keeping an eye on the PNC Music Pavilion, what we were talking about earlier, within the last 30 minutes, there have been a strike that was 3.5 miles away and one that's about 4.5 miles away. The 4.5 just happened a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
I mentioned, I have some friends in the parking lot who were saying they saw people kind of walking around, but according to the official Instagram and Twitter page, they have not lifted the delay yet. So just be mindful of that, folks. Stay in your car and stay, essentially away from being outside if at all possible. As Brad was mentioning earlier, these storms are now moving away from that area. So this is likely just the storm, the isolated lightning strikes on the back end. So hopefully won't create any issues with the additional storms that are coming. But at least as of now, we're not clear from the 8-mile threshold, which is normal for most music venues that are outdoors. And most of this activity on the back end, Brad, there's a few areas with some heavy rain, but it doesn't look like there's a ton of lightning. So hopefully the atmosphere has stabilized pretty well.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like things are calming down. I'm starting to get some more pictures in as well from viewers. Thank you guys so much for sending these, by the way. We love getting these. Emily just sent me a picture. I'm going to send it over to James so we can turn this around. But a tree down on Selwyn Avenue, which isn't too far from here, and it's actually on a car.
Oh, wow.
So where was that, Brad?
Selwyn Avenue. So let
Okay.
me.
Does it have anything to do with, I've got these live pictures on Interstate 85. I've got maybe
No.
a multi-vehicle wreck here or
Oof,
something?
that does not look
Is
good.
it like over in like the Dilworth like
Yeah,
area?
so it's off
All
of
right,
Park
so
Road.
unrelated. But
So unrelated, yes.
But I will tell people what you're looking at right now on the left-hand side of your screen is Interstate 85 near the airport, kind of just to the east of the airport, not too far from Freedom Drive. And what we can see is Charlotte Fire Department and medic are on scene, and it looks like traffic is completely stopped southbound. I don't know that this is weather related, Brad, but certainly as I'm sitting here going through cameras, this one jumped out.
Well, here's the weird thing about that traffic cam. Looks like the traffic's being blocked on the access road too, off to the right or the left there, and you've got a car broken down in front of that truck. Looks like you said, there's multi vehicles.
The center of attention seems to be
That
to the
overturned,
left,
yeah.
the back of the fire truck. I don't know, to your point, if it involved maybe the wall.
They came over the wall, could be,
Yeah.
because you're right. That car looks like in bad shape. So.
We'll check with our assignment desk to see if we have any information.
And that could have
about
been a
any of
hydroplane issue because, that happens a lot. Because that is an area I do know that the water in those right lanes sometimes can just sit there, and you could be driving at highway speed, and all of a sudden there's a giant puddle there, and if you don't slow down or steer correctly, you can put yourself in bad shape. So, yeah, that's not good. That's on 85, you said?
Yeah, 85 southbound. So if you're coming from I-77 and
Yeah.
you're going towards the airport,
Towards
that's
the
where
airport,
the interstate is
yeah.
closed.
So that is crazy because that access road, I see a CMPD officer blocking the ramp there too. So there's a lot going on there. We'll have to figure out what's happening here because for them to shut down the whole interstate there means probably got a life-threatening injury or somebody entrapped that they're trying to get out right now.
I'm checking right now to see if we have any updates from medic. I don't see an update at this time, but I'm sure our assignment desk will try to learn some additional information about that. Brad, I also have a new picture, probably not as significant as the one I'm showing on the screen right now,
Yeah.
but Duke Energy spokesperson Logan Stewart posted this to X just 3 minutes ago, saying that they are working to restore power to approximately 3,300 customers around the Valentine area in South Charlotte due to this tree, and you can see the tree leaning
right on the
power lines
lines.
there.
Ugh. Yeah, not good. Yeah, that was my concern today was that, you're going to get a tree branch or two on these power lines. And also you got to worry about lightning strikes. We've seen all the lightning strikes,
Yeah.
lightning hitting power poles and transformers. That causes power outages as well. So we had the double whammy, very electric storms and a lot of
Yeah.
wind.
I
So-
believe this is in the back of the Lowe's, right there at Providence and Valentine Commons.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly where that is. Yeah.
I cut you off. You were starting to give another storm report before I took us over to 85. You said there was a tree down?
Tree on car on Selwyn Avenue. And I'm sending this out on social real quick here, but this was a tree that came down. Let me see if I can bring this up full screen. There we go. So yeah, I got a tree on a car that is on Selwyn Avenue. So for folks that don't know where that's at, that's actually off of Park Road and between Park Road and Woodlawn. So it goes between those two roads. Beautiful part of town, kind of behind Montfort Drive, heading over towards the Dilworth area, going towards the mall. But the car looks like it didn't get crushed, but it looked like the branches all went around it and kind of trapped it, basically. Looks a lot like a car I know. Looks like a Toyota RAV4.
Oh, is it?
It's a white one, too.
Oh, whoa, no.
Yeah.
Watch
So,
out.
it's a very popular car
Normally
in
I'd
this
be
room.
like, Brad, why are you telling people what car I drive? But then I'm
No.
like, there's 85 million
Yeah.
RAV4s out
Yeah.
there, and I don't have WX
Yeah,
Brett,
you're like, yeah.
I was like, he's got a
plate.
license plate that
No,
goes
Yeah.
and
sticks out.
actually, I have been working out before, and my name when I work out is WX Brit, and I've had people come up to me and ask me if I'm me, not because they know who I am, but because they know that you're WX Brad, and so they know that WX stands for weather. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so you know Brad, so then you were able to figure out that was me. Okay, great, good to know, good to know.
Brad, I'm working on bringing in that picture right now.
Yeah.
And here it comes.
Okay, so we can bring it up. So yeah, this is the picture. Thanks to I believe it was Emily sent it to me.
Emily Berman.
She sent it to me, so it's pretty far away from her house. That's a pretty big tree, and you could see, thankfully, this car got caught between all the branches, but the main trunk did not hit it. And it looks like maybe the main trunk might have got the hood. I can't tell. It's pretty far away because it looks like the hood might be bent up. But either way, that's a scary thing. This happens more often than you think in our area because these trees are so tall. You could be driving and you may not see the tree falling, but the tree's like 100 feet tall, and it goes into the road and just comes out of nowhere and gets you. I just noticed now the very top of the picture, it looks like a CMPD officer has blocked the road there as well because there's a
that makes sense.
A Ford Explorer CMPD vehicle blocking that as well. So yeah, that's a scary sign on those big tall oak trees in Myers Park and Dilworth. They're beautiful, but boy, they are big, and when they come down, they cover a lot of ground. So hopefully this person's okay, but this is another area. So obviously Selwyn Avenue is shut down. I would not be using it as a cut through to get between Park Road and Woodlawn. And so we're seeing a lot of stories like that today across the area, guys.
And Brittany, speaking of roads that are shut down, there was another video that you just flagged us to that our newsroom gathered. Do you know where this one is?
So this is Providence Road. I did message our assistant news director who sent it to try to figure out where. I mean, you can very clearly see if you look closely at the video.
I'm sorry that it's
sideways. It's okay. But you can see the building.
I'm gonna take our monitor.
So this is very obviously it would be Providence Road, like if you were heading from South Charlotte toward Uptown because of just the direction that.
Yep, I know. I know where that is too. Yeah. So a lot of above ground trees there, are above ground lines and trees that are very close together. If you ever notice when Duke's cutting all those trees really close to the power lines, this is why they do it, because they don't want those things coming in contact with the power lines. So unfortunately, there's a lot of outages, James, and I don't know if you've seen any timelines for restoration. I know. I'll be honest with you, Duke does a pretty good job. There's a lot of things you could be critical of Duke on, but they do some great work to get these things back up. They have this new technology to reroute power, even when lines are down. But I will tell you, everybody who's watching, on backup power or their phone or their tablet, you go to their site, you're going to get a restoration time. They are very, very conservative with those times.
Yeah, they are.
They usually give you the worst case scenario, and 9 times out of 10, it's much sooner than that time. So if it says like tomorrow at 8 a.m., don't freak out. It's probably going to be before that, but they just want to make sure you're prepared for it to be out for that length of time.
To your point, the ones near Ballantyne, Providence Road here at Ballantyne Commons, kind of in the South Charlotte area. That they say 2 a.m. right now.
Yeah.
Like you said, I had one the other day that was hours long, and the power came back within half an hour.
Yeah.
South of the airport, repairs and damage still being assessed. South Park area, 215.
Okay.
Indian Trail, 215.
Yeah. So thankfully the rain has cooled things down. I know the first thing people are worried about how hot. The first thing you need to do is do not open your refrigerator or freezer. It's a cooler now, okay? You need to keep it shut. Your food will be fine in there. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it stays in there. The more you open it, the hotter it gets in there. So just keep those shut. Keep your doors and windows shut. Shut the blinds. Trap the cold air you have now in your house. It may get a little warmer than you're used to, but you could probably go to midnight and not get too crazy hot because the sun is now going down, and it will be in about an hour, or it's cloudy and rainy. It's already in the 70s. It's not going to get super hot in your house. So me personally, I'd probably wait it out. But if you want, you got a friend who has power, hey. Come on, you got an extra spot on the couch. This is the time to do it.
I think it's also important too, I mean, if that happened last weekend, it would have been way worse. Like at least we're now on the back end of seeing some of the cooler weather moving.
The other thing, and this is, I mean, you're in this part of town, go to the mall, go hang out, maybe go watch a movie tonight in the movie theater. Just come back, hope the power's back on. Go do something that can get you out of the house and get you some free air conditioning for a while until the power comes back on. Because honestly, I don't think the temperature would be my biggest concern. I think the mugginess would be because it's so humid out there.
It's so humid. I will say we got a Thames update. There was really no update really on the mile marker 35, near the airport. But it does say time of end right now is still 9 o'clock. So I would say if you were taking 85 heading southbound through Charlotte, I would avoid at all costs because, I mean, it still, the camera looks like it's significantly blocked, and if that's the case, on top
that vehicle on its side?
It does look like it.
Yeah, it does. It looks like I think you guys were talking about the little back access road, which was it was that Thomasboro that's behind. It still looks like that white car way in the back did potentially hydroplane because it's like on its side.
Yeah.
But it's the flip. So I don't know if those two were connected. 'Cause
I'm
there's two
just, I
separate
don't know,
cars.
I'm kind of trying to figure out why the access road there is being blocked by CMPD. Like why, I don't know, that's, maybe it's is he blocking the ramp on to 85, maybe?
Well, if you look at a map, it looks like Thomasboro, that little back road. It doesn't look like it's a ramp to get on 85. It looks like it's a ramp to get on Freedom Drive.
So I'm curious why they're blocking. So there's something, this is a weird accident. You also got a broken down car in the medium there, it looks like, and another car with its hazards on. So something happened between multiple vehicles, it looks like.
Yeah, and the one that's behind also looks like its hood is up, so
Yeah.
you don't know if it hit the side and it flipped up.
Or if it was broken down and
Yeah.
maybe an avoidance accident of
Well,
some
That
kind.
has happened. I mean, you've heard about those, even the one, what was it, a few weeks ago, like where all the 6 people died. It was a semi that was like basically not broken down,
yeah,
but
but
pulled over on the
pulled over,
side,
yeah.
and then one person hit one person, and then so it's easy to do that, especially if you're not giving enough space in front of the person in front
Yeah,
of you.
so it's probably a good idea tonight, guys. There's a lot of trees on roads which are blocking roadways, and then we have this up there, and yeah, I'm looking at the map too, and it's, you know, it's shut down for sure. But you're right, it's so weird why that access road would be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out
I think
something
this
weird.
is going to turn out to be a very serious crash.
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
definitely.
and they have it closed till 9 p.m.
There's going to be an
So,
investigation. That is gonna keep
Unfortunately,
this
and
road
I
closed.
hate to say this, but usually that means a fatality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you see roads shut down like this for an accident, it usually means there's like James said, there's an investigation that has to take place. So they try to keep everything in its place to get pictures and evidence before they open it back up. So the story
More
here is,
vehicles involved. it seems
yeah,
like the
just
longer it
avoid this area right now, because that's a very, very active part of town. Normally 85, going to the airport in 45 and going, that's a bypass. Most people going south on 77 would cut over there to get to 45 and get around Charlotte. So, and you can see the backups are starting to get back almost to 77 now. So I'm hoping they're blocking the ramps to get on to 85 from 70,
Oh,
or at
I
least
could-
have those signs up, to tell people, hey,
Right.
accident on 85, take another route, because that's going to be bad news. And there's another accident, looks like on the other side of 85. So yeah, just a night you probably don't want to be driving on a lot of these roads. So I'm sure this will be something we'll be covering for the rest of WCNC Plus this evening. So I-85 southbound closed at Freedom Drive for folks that are just tuning in. We went a little bit longer tonight. We went to 7:32, I think it is right now, covering severe weather. Look at their cars are turning around and going the opposite direction on the interstate. So
It's probably the only way out of there.
Yeah. I've only ever seen that when they've done that for evacuation.
So look what they're doing. That is crazy. They're sending them back up the ramp, though. It looks like the Freedom.
Yeah.
Or what's the other road? What's the next road down there, I think?
So if they're going backwards, they're going to go to Glenwood Drive.
Glenwood Drive. Okay, I know. It's like I was like, that's a different road down
And
there.
that's exit 35. So it looks like
35.
it's closed between Glenwood and between Freedom Drive, which I believe it's exit.
So wow,
34.
yeah. So that means they probably blocked the interstate further up now. And they're just getting these cars off the interstate.
Yeah, because right now the blockage goes past Glenwood, so it actually goes essentially almost all the way to what's that, Roslyn's Ferry?
Yep.
Which
So
is
I'm
what-
guessing they'll probably block the ramp from 77 here shortly to get on southbound,
Mm-hmm.
because remember, a lot of people coming south on 77 are going to get on 85 because they're going to Atlanta or going to Greenville, Spartanburg, or they're going somewhere else.
Gaston County.
Yeah, so they probably could divert them to 485 would be the best thing they could do. And that's what I hope happens here. But just, that's a mess. And that's also near the airport, pretty
Yeah.
close to the airport, and that's a busy area. And the airport had ground stop for almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. So just, that's going to be chaotic in that area, because there's probably a bunch of people waiting to get people that were supposed to be landing. And that's a mess.
Yeah, we've also seen a lot of reports, Brad, of significant flooding on Wilkinson Boulevard.
Yeah.
So also, I think getting in and out of the airport probably that way is also going to be a big pain.
Moral of the story, avoid that part of town if you can. That's
This
a big,
is
further up.
traffic still approaching that closure. You can see the traffic is still flowing in, and these
Yeah.
are people who've already passed I-77.
hopefully,
Oh, wow.
now they know something's up. The people are getting in the right lane because they're going to get off. They know that the road is shut at. So the people on the right side knows what's up. Those people in the left lane, you're not going anywhere. You might as well just get off the interstate. So, so the fire trucks are beginning to pull away, but it looks like it's going to be shut down for a while. man.
Yeah, well, we're going to hand things over to Live Impact News, and
Yeah.
they will continue to follow the situation as we continue through the evening hours.
Yeah, so just to update on the storms, there's still rain out there, none severe. We're not seeing any flooding currently, but expect the rain to continue here for a little bit longer. The good news in all this, we went through all this tonight. It was a messy night. We've got a reward for the weekend, cooler and drier weather coming in for the weekend. So enjoy. Brittany.
And I have one thing to say. 7 seconds ago, PNC Music Pavilion, they're ready to go. Doors are opening. So if you're going to see Thomas Rhett, please be safe since there's some rain on the back end, but it does look like most of that lightning should stay away.
Probably going to be a late night out there because I think the concert was supposed to start at 7:30.
And I think doors were supposed to open at 6:30, which is why it was delayed. So essentially a full hour.
So whoever the opening act's going to get cut short. That's usually what happens in that situation. You don't get any time. You get one song and you're done, and they put the main act on. So be safe out there tonight. Coming up here shortly, we'll have more coverage on this accident on 85 and the rest of today's news. But major traffic woes and power outages in Charlotte due to storms, and even this accident itself might be weather-related due to hydroplane or something else, but it does look like a serious accident there on I-85 southbound near Wilkinson and Freedom Drive area. So, yeah, I would steer clear of this area if I would.
Hello, everyone. Starting our impact stream a little bit later after the impact weather stream just got off the air here. We do have an issue here, as you can see on I-85. They are detouring folks off of mile marker 35. This is near, mile marker 35.4 specifically. The road is closed at Glenwood Drive. And as you can see, the car is still there on its side in the middle of one of the sides of I-85. You can see the other side doing just fine in terms of traffic at 7:40 this evening. But this happened around 6:58, around 7 o'clock, and they've worked pretty quickly to try and clear things away. Their investigation is still going on here, but we're told that this could continue until around 9 o'clock, could go even longer. I am not sure that we've seen anything in terms of injuries just now, but this is a big incident on I-85, especially on a Friday night north of Charlotte. So again, this is near Glenwood Road. Glenwood Drive, that is, exit 35. The road is closed here, and they are trying to detour folks before you get to this. And you can even see on the right side of your screen, it looks like they're actually turning cars around, going up Glenwood Drive at that exit and having them reroute themselves off the highway. It seems like this could go on for quite some time. Again, they're saying 8:58 p.m., closer to 9 o'clock. So we'll make sure to update the situation and make sure you know when I-85 is clear and clean for folks to move across once again. But for now, this incident is still lingering here in the Charlotte area. Just about an hour ago, I did do an interview with Dr. Paul Coley, who is our medical expert here at WCNC Charlotte. She and I discussed a number of things, really, about GLP-1 medications. Obviously, it's not just a fad. Folks are using GLP-1s for a number of different situations, most notably for diabetes and for weight loss. So we discussed more so the weight loss implications, what these medications can offer, and why folks are taking them. So listen in now. Awesome. As usual, I'll have you say and spell your first and last name and your title.
Dr. Payal Kohli, Payal Kohli, WCNC medical expert and associate adjunct professor in cardiology at Duke University and Johns Hopkins University.
Fantastic. Dr. Coley, GLP-1 medications are all the rage nowadays. In fact, my wife and some of her friends are on, can't remember the one. It's not Wegovy or the normal popular ones. But anyway, I know that a lot of folks are using it for different reasons. My mom's on it for diabetes. Let's talk about GLP-1 in terms of weight loss. So it seems like this is this new thing. And in terms of your expertise, what type of things do you want to let folks know about this, whether it's good or bad?
So, as a cardiologist and internal medicine physician, for the longest time, we had weight loss medicines that whipped the organs and were bad for us. They helped to lose the weight, but they did it at the expense of protecting our organs. Now, for time ever, I'm so excited because we have these GLP-1 receptor agonists, which are a class of medications that don't just get the weight off, they actually protect the organs. And so this class of medicines, of course, has an indication for people with diabetes. It has an indication for people with chronic kidney disease. It also has an indication for people with heart disease without diabetes because it protects the heart as well, reduces your risk of having another heart attack or stroke. So I'm extremely excited about this class of medicines. And the way that it works is that it mimics one of our naturally occurring hormones called the incretin hormones, which regulate our appetite and the way that the stomach empties into the intestines. So it delays the emptying of the stomach into the intestines. That changes how our body responds to insulin and sugar. It also gets into our brain and changes our reward signal from food. So for those people that have food noise or food addiction, it can actually help with that tremendously. It can also just help with appetite regulation in general, help you feel fuller faster because your stomach's not emptied. So a really great class of medications that I think has changed the way we think about medicine and cardiovascular disease and cardiometabolic disease.
Now, I know that these, when people are prescribed for them, right, and they're on them, there's I wouldn't say a long period of time because everybody is different, but it doesn't sound like these are forever medications, and maybe they are. Please correct me if so. And then I guess the second part of that question would be, how long after stopping is there an initial issue of weight coming back on? I mean, there's been some talk about that. So can we talk about both of those?
Yeah, so for some patients, there are forever medicines. In fact, they were designed that way. So if you're a diabetic who's taking it for your diabetes, it is a forever medicine because the goal of the medicine is to protect your kidneys and protect your heart and protect your organs and reduce your risk of cardiovascular complications from the diabetes. So if you stop it, you only get benefit while you're on it, not so on and so forth. For obesity, it's a little bit of a gray zone there because obviously the companies, for their own benefit and because obesity is kind of a chronic disease, have designed the medicine so that you stay on it forever because your thermostat, your obesity thermostat is turned up. And so the minute you stop the medicine, the idea is your thermostat will go back to where it was before and you'll put that weight back on. What physicians have been doing sort of anecdotally, and there's been some published data as well, is trying to see if there's some subset of people who are being treated for obesity who can come off of these medicines and continue to maintain the weight loss. And in fact, what you see is that if you stop these medicines, you'll gain about 2/3 of the weight back, not necessarily all of it, but that's an average. So there are some people on this end of the spectrum that will keep the weight off because of the behavioral changes that they've incorporated. And then there's some people on the other end that will gain all of it back. But on average, you gain back about 2/3 of the weight that you had lost. But it is becoming increasingly popular to either lower the dose of the medicine that you're on long-term or trial you off of it and see how you do.
Okay. Now, is there any way that folks can limit weight regain? And let's say they are just done with the medicine. They don't necessarily want to use it for specifically obesity. Is there any way that they can help try to limit that regain of weight at all?
Yes, and I would say even if you're on the medicine, you should be doing these things. So food is really important, what types of food you eat. And I think there is a recipe for how you can limit weight regain or just limit weight in general. The first is you want to eat really protein-rich meals. So protein has the same sort of effect on our gut. It makes us feel fuller faster. So I would say 20 to 30 grams per meal in your protein if you can add that. The second is a trend on social media that I'm a huge fan of, which is called fiber maxing, where you want to maximize the amount of fiber in every meal that you eat as well, because fiber has the same effect. It keeps you fuller faster. It also changes the bacteria that lives in your gut so that you have sort of a healthy balance. And it helps you, kind of regulate your weight as well. It regulates your blood sugar. So that's a really important way to do it. The third is what's called volume eating. You want to try to eat foods that are not as calorie dense. So, lighter foods like salads and such, so that you're not eating more calorie dense food. So it's not just about the total calorie intake. It's about the density of calories that you're eating that matters as well. And then finally, I would say for every one of us, you should stick to a schedule when you eat, because what really gets us is that grazing and that snacking in between the meals. That's where a lot of those empty calories come from, as well as those liquids. We drink a lot of our calories and we don't realize that we do that. So sticking to your 3 meals a day, 1 snack in the middle if you want, that's really important as well. Then of course the exercise. So for most of us, I would recommend 150 minutes, which is 30 minutes 5 days a week. But if you're trying to lose weight, you want to double that to about 300 minutes, which is, an hour, about 5 days a week of moderate intensity exercise.
Okay. That kind of brings me to my next question, Dr. Coley, which is, these medicines, as you said, are built for forever standards. Are there any drawbacks in some sense? And I ask personally because I've seen with my wife, and she's kind of noted that with the weight loss, if she's not in the gym, there seems to be a muscle loss to this. Now, aside from that, and debunk that, please, if that's not true, are there any other negatives that doctors are seeing or that people should be aware of? I know that it goes case by case basis, I'm sure, but anything that comes to mind there?
So, there are a lot of things, and this is why I don't want us to think about this as a diet fad. I don't want us to get this from med spas or compounded things, because this is not a beauty treatment. This is a medical treatment for people whose obesity is a threat to their life, for people whose obesity is going to increase their risk of cancer, heart disease, dementia, stroke, what have you. That's who this is appropriate for. So there are some drawbacks. As a physician, one thing I always ask my patients is whether they've had medullary thyroid cancer, because in animal models, this actually caused a dose-dependent increase in that specific type of thyroid cancer. We also ask people if they've had something called pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas, which is one of our GI organs, because this can increase the risk risk of that as well. As you alluded to, muscle loss and bone density loss is something we've noticed, especially in our older patient population that tends to take this. And there's two reasons for that. One is obviously when you're losing weight, you have less meat on your bones, so your bone density goes down, but the medication does reduce muscle mass independently as well. Now, thankfully, it reduces fat mass by about 3 times as much as it reduces muscle mass. But you really need to actively work on maintaining your muscle mass. Also need to see where you started in order to ensure that you don't end up losing too much muscle mass. If you lose weight too quickly, your body goes into a breakdown state. You can start to lose your hair. You can start to have saggy skin. You can start to have a lot of other changes associated with rapid weight loss, including changes in the amount of other medications that you need and such. So I don't use this medicine lightly. I think it's a great medicine for those patients in which obesity is a threat to their life. We know that 40% of American adults are obese, 20% of our adolescents are obese. So those are the people that need it. But when it comes to using it for recreational weight loss or turning up and down the volume on it whenever you want to drop a few pounds, that's not how it's designed.
Okay. Now, are there any negative health impacts with just stopping and starting that we know of as well? Because I know that, as you said, I think a lot of folks are maybe they have, in some sense, I've heard people talk like, hey, I have like maybe 30 pounds to lose, right? That may not be a smart decision. Can I say that?
I would agree, because I don't think you jerk your body around, right? Okay. So a healthy weight loss is no more than 1 pound a week, and that's already on the high end when you're on the medication. You don't want to be using this medicine because you have a wedding coming up, you want to drop some weight, because the medicine, once it gets out of your body, especially if you're on a higher dose, you almost have to go back to the beginning in order to get your body kind of used to it again. Because we have seen people who have taken compounded forms or taken more than they're supposed to take end up in the ER with stomach paralysis. Because if it's slowing down your stomach from emptying and you give yourself a big dose and your body's not ready for it, then you might end up having toxicity from the medication. There's not a reversal for the medicine, and it is an injection. So once it gets inside your body, you got to wait out. It takes about 2 weeks to start to get to a pretty low level, then really about 2 months to completely get out of your body. So you have to wait that out if that were to happen. So don't just turn it on and off when you need it. Definitely be in consultation with a medical professional, not someone from a med spa or compounded stuff that you're getting off the internet. Make sure that it's a physician that you talk to and trust when you start this.
Love that. Perfect. Dr. Coley, anything else that I'm missing that you wanted to highlight about this? I know there's a ton of things we could talk about, but what comes to mind for you?
I would say that, we're still on our journey with the weight loss medicines. We're evolving it. So the first round had Batman, that's called the GLPs. The second round has Batman and Robin, that's the GLPs, GIPs, which are turning out to be even more effective than just the GLPs in terms of weight loss. And on the horizon, we have Batman, Robin, and Batwoman coming, because we have GLPs, GIPs, and glucagon. That's called a triple agonist. So I think it's still evolving. I think there are other types of weight loss medicines that I'm not a fan of as a cardiologist that whip your heart, they amp up your metabolism, they get the weight off, but they don't have long-term effects. So all weight loss medicines are not created equal. And they are working on oral forms of this medicine, but those don't work nearly as well because of the way that they're absorbed in the stomach. So you need a much higher dose and the absorption doesn't get there. So for now, we really have these once weekly injections. Use them responsibly. Talk to your doctor. If your BMI is over 27, you're probably a candidate for this medication. So talk to your doctor about whether it makes sense to start it.
All right, Dr. Coley, I'm going to stop this. I appreciate you.
Great. Did we cover everything?
All right, it's great to have Dr. Coley every Friday at 7 o'clock here on WCNC Plus, talking about the health headlines that matter to you. That's why we asked you to download WCNC Plus to get that information in the palm of your hands. There's a situation in Tennessee happening right now that actually the director of Tennessee's Bureau of Investigation is calling on a suspect to turn himself in. And this is after a quadruple murder that happened in or near Lake County just this week. 4 bodies were found after this 28-year-old apparently killed these individuals. And like I said, the TBI director is asking this person, the suspect, to turn himself in. So let's listen more and get more information from the director on this crime.
So we ask those who may know something about this case to please reach out and call law enforcement. I do want to thank our partners. This has been an absolutely difficult few days here in the area, Lake and Dyer and here in Jackson. It's been a difficult few days, and I want to thank our partners. There has been an amazing response from many authorities in this, and I'll mention a few. This is not a comprehensive list, but there are a few that I want to mention and thank for their dogged determination in this investigation. It includes our folks with Lake County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Avery, Dyer County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Box, the Crockett County Sheriff's Office, Dyersburg PD, Tiptonville PD, of course Jackson PD. Also on the state side, we've had TWRA, the Highway Patrol, State Parks, and of course the District Attorney's Office from the 29th. On the federal side, we've had the United States Marshal Service, Two Rivers Violent Fugitive Task Force working closely with us, as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Again, I think it's critical that the public know that, one, this is not a random act. And so I think if there's any solace in that, there should be, that it was not random. And frankly, an act that this individual that we believe is of interest and certainly have charges on. There was an act after the event that we believe shows some humanity, and so we're appealing to that piece, as inhumane as the situation is. But we're appealing to that within this individual to come to us and tell us what happened, right? Let us work through this and figure out what happened so that we can bring some resolution to this. And again, I want to thank all of the agencies involved in this effort, and really I'm extremely proud of our team here at TBI. They have been working around the clock, putting in every resource that we have to attempt to one, investigate this case, but also to bring resolution. And so with that, I will turn it over to General Goodman for his comments. General.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I don't have a lot to add, but I do have a few things that I would like to say. First of all, there can't be any more tragedy in a family or anything more tragic to happen to a person than the loss of a family member. Unfortunately, we have, in this case, a family who have lost multiple people, and so our heart goes out to the family. It goes out to the family that's going to be dealing with the child and raising a child that has lost both parents now. So our hearts go out to those individuals. I would like to thank the law enforcement. This has been nothing short of impressive with what they've done. As Director Rouse said, they've worked 24 hours a day. I don't think I've ever been so impressed with anyone as I have with the bunch that's worked this. Information has come in so rapidly in this case. It seems like just every 5 to 10 minutes there's new information coming in. So without this team, the tier, there's no way we would be where we are at this point. So I want to thank them for that. The other thing is we are dealing with an extremely violent individual. This was what we would think is an isolated incident. It's not anything to where we think the community is in danger because of a person who may be out here randomly targeting people, because we don't think that's the case at all. However, we do need the community to be very careful. We do not need them to try to approach this person. We do need your help. And we appreciate the media being here, because there's a lot of things we couldn't do and information we couldn't get out without you. But we need the community as well. So if anyone does have any information, don't approach the individual. just contact the TBI hotline, call 911, call your local authorities. They will get you to the right person. But just please do not approach this individual. Not only is he known to be a violent offender because of this incident, he's been violent in the past. So we know that this is an individual who could cause a person some damage. So just be very careful when you're out there. And other than that, I'll take questions in a few minutes if you have any, but I'm going to turn it over. Is someone else wants to speak? Yes, okay, all right.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the United States Marshal Service, I want to send our sincere condolences to the family of those affected. Again, such a tragic loss. I cannot imagine what they may be going through. And I'm a firm believer that the only way to achieve some type of justice, if you will, is to hold someone accountable. And that's why we are assembled here today. Everyone here, although we may wear different badges, different lapel pins, our agencies have different names. Some are federal, some are state, some are local. But let me assure you, we are unified in our efforts to find Austin Drummond. This individual has shown a propensity for violence, and he needs to be taken off the streets. We would like to do that peacefully. We would like for him to turn himself in. That will be the goal. The goal would be a safe surrender, and that way we can assure that he's taken into custody safely and that there's no injury to law enforcement or the public. But let me assure you of this. The U.S. Marshal Service will not stop until he is in custody. We have our whole team dedicated in prioritizing this incident, and it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when he's found. And it's not just here in West Tennessee, but we have support divisions at headquarters that are also assisting in this effort. So as you know, there's been a reward offered, and to those who may know where he is, we don't care about where he may be, other than you giving us the information, and you will get paid, no questions asked. So that is the priority, is for him to turn himself in. But if not, then that reward does stand, and we will gladly take him into custody. And again, I want to thank everybody involved. The TBI has done a phenomenal job, as always, with the investigation. The other law enforcement agencies that have been mentioned, everyone, we are unified in our efforts to find him. So again, I just want to thank you for being here today and helping us get this message out. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Stephen Sutton, and I'm here today on behalf of Lake County Sheriff Brian Avery and Dyer County Sheriff Jeff Box to address two deeply troubling incidences that have recently affected our communities. This past Tuesday, we faced a heart-wrenching situation where an infant was found about 3:11 p.m. on Old Highway 20, abandoned in a car seat just off of Highway 412. The baby was immediately cared for by those who saw the infant be dropped off, and EMS was called to evaluate the baby. And I'm glad to report that thankfully the baby is safe and being cared for. And the Dyer County Sheriff's Office does have jurisdiction into the investigation regarding this abandoned child. In addition to the distressing scenario, we're also dealing with 4 tragic homicides that occurred in Lake County. And just as those before me have expressed, our hearts go out to all of those families and friends that have been deeply impacted with pain and grief of the actions that have occurred this week. Each life lost is truly a tragedy, and we extend our deepest sympathies to all of those who are grieving. And we want to assure you that we're doing everything in our power to uncover the truth and to provide answers. I want to take a moment to again express our gratitude to all of the law enforcement partners, state partners, federal, local, who have been tirelessly working around the clock to bring justice to these families. and their dedication and commitment during such challenging times surely are commendable. I must emphasize that our primary focus remains on locating Austin Drummond, who's still considered a suspect at large in these ongoing investigations. Finding him is our singular focus, and we urge anyone with any information regarding his whereabouts to please come forward. Your assistance is crucial in helping us bring closure to these families and restoring peace to our communities. We appreciate your cooperation. We appreciate your patience as this investigation unfolds. Thank you for your understanding as we navigate these sensitive matters, and we will keep you updated with any new developments as they arise. Thank you. Lake County Sheriff Brian Avery, Dyer County Sheriff Jeff Box.
Good afternoon. I'm Derek Tisdale with the Jackson Police Department, Deputy Chief of Police. First, on behalf of the Jackson Police Department and the citizens of this great city, Jackson, Tennessee, we want to express our sincere condolences for the family that has so tragically lost their loved ones. But what I want to speak to is what we're doing in this ongoing effort. In a collaborative effort, we are continuing to partner with the federal, state agencies to bring about the safe apprehension of this individual, Mr. Drummond. We as a citizen, as officers of the Jackson Police Department, we have officers that are dedicated as task force officers and working with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, also with the U.S. Marshal Services. We will continue to do that. We will also continue to bring forth any and all resources that we have that will assist the other agencies in bringing this to bear. What we want, or what I would want to encourage, is that our citizens be aware of your surroundings when you're in or out or around your places of residence. We want you to be mindful of what we're putting out and be attentive to what we're putting out. Because not only are we trying to safely apprehend Mr. Drummond, but we also want to keep you safe. So on behalf of the Jackson Police Department, we will continue to partner with these agencies until this individual has been brought to justice. And if anybody sees this individual, again, I want to reemphasize what everybody else has said. Please call 911 or call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations. Thank you.
All right, we will open it up to some questions now if you have questions.
Imani Williams with Channel 5 out of Memphis. You talked about a sign of compassion that you all saw from Drummond. Is that him dropping off the baby?
Yeah, so what you're asking is when I mentioned a sign of compassion from the suspect. Yes, so they brought attention when they dropped the child off, brought attention. There were people nearby, and so brought attention to those people to come and get the child. Yes, sir.
Channel 3 in Memphis. So the outline or the lineup is that the baby was dropped off first before the homicides, or what is the timeline?
Yeah, so all of that is still under active investigation. You're asking about the timeline for the incidents. At this point, that is all actively being investigated. And
how about the scene on Carrington Drive? Did the suspect go separately? Was he with the other parties? What can you tell us about that? Yeah, I won't go, but you're asking again about specifics of the crime scene itself. We won't go into detail on the specifics of the crime scene at this time. It's a very active and engaged investigation.
Lauren Terman with ABC 24. Can you confirm at this time Austin Drummond's relationship with any of these victims? Were they family members or in a relationship? Can you confirm any of that at this time?
Yeah, I appreciate you're asking about the relationship of the suspect with the individual victims. There was a familial relationship between the suspect and the family.
Troy Grant, Fox 13 News. Have you guys at TBI been in contact with Caitlin Speed at all?
Again, as you're asking specifics into the investigative process, we won't go into the specifics of the investigation at this time.
Brooklyn Kent, Channel 7 in Jackson, is he still in Jackson? Are we aware of that, or are we expecting that he's around in other counties?
Yeah, Brooklyn, in terms of the location of the suspect at this time, we believe that the suspect is still in the area based on the potential information that we are working through. So at this time, we believe that he is still in this area.
Imani again with Channel 5. We're in Jackson. We were in Dyer and Lake County earlier this week. Kind of talk a little bit about how important Jackson is to the investigation when it looks like he may be from Jackson.
Yeah, so in terms of the importance of Jackson to this investigation, obviously all of the area here, the Jackson, Lake, Dyer, this entire region, if you will, are critical in this investigation. Obviously, direct ties to the Jackson area, and that is why there is concern and focus. The vehicle being found here in Jackson certainly heightens that focus. So Jackson and the Jackson PD are critical partners as we continue to try to bring Austin in to be able to try to figure out the answers and resolve this.
Troy Grant again with Fox 13 Memphis. So do you guys believe Drummond had assistance in committing the crime, and do you think someone is helping him stay hidden right now? Yeah, I hate not giving all the specific, but those questions that you're asking about if he was assisted and any, those are all details of the investigation that we won't get into at this time.
Brooklyn Ken with Channel 7 again. Is he on foot? Is he in another car? I know you said the car was found.
Yeah, Brooklyn, that in terms of is he on foot or if he's had another vehicle, those are all parts that we're still investigating.
Earlier, he was recently incarcerated. Were those charges aggravated robbery, aggravated kidnapping? Can you talk to that a little bit?
I'll yield to the general on that information. General.
Austin Drummond was convicted in Madison County several years ago for an aggravated robbery. He was sentenced to the Tennessee Department of Corrections, and he was housed at Northwest Correctional, which is in Tiptonville in Lake County. He completed that sentence. So it's what we call flattening the sentence. So he doesn't actually come out on parole or probation. He's just released because he's done all of his time in prison. While he was in prison, he received other charges. We actually took him to grand jury in Lake County because since it occurred at the prison, then it was in our jurisdiction. He had some drug charges that we indicted him for, and then shortly after that, he actually was charged and indicted in Lake County for attempted murder, attempted first-degree murder, which took place inside the prison. Because he completed his sentence, then that was just like any other sentence that a person on the street would have committed. So what happened is once he was released from the Department of Corrections, the Lake County Sheriff's Department picked him up, just as they would anyone else, brought him to the Lake County Jail, and he made bond. So he has been out on bond on those charges when we think that this was allegedly committed.
Which of these pictures is the most accurate of him currently, you all think?
My understanding is the one with facial hair.
Yes.
But understand that can change, right? That's just a matter of taking a razor to your face.
And for immediate family members of these victims, are there sort of protective orders that have been given to them since Drummond has not yet been caught?
Well, they're always going to be advised, just as we've advised the public, to be careful, be vigilant, always be watching their surroundings. But as far as any orders, it would be from a court or anything like that. There's no orders like that.
2 more questions, real quick.
Was this drug related at all?
That's part of the investigation. That's something Director Roush could answer, but I don't think he's going to be able to give you any information because it's part of the ongoing investigation.
Anything else?
All right.
Do you have anything else you would like to say?
No, we're good. Thank you. Thank you for your assistance with getting this information out. And we will certainly, as information comes in for us to be able to make further comments, we'll reach out and make sure you're all made aware as we move forward. All right. Thank you all.
All right, that's all from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation as they continue to hunt this suspect, 28-year-old Robert Drummond, Austin Robert Drummond, that is, asking him to turn himself in. So there could be other developments on this story, and we will let you know if that happens on our stream here on WCNC+. Let's get to a NTSB discussion right now. This is on the hearing of the DCA midair crash that happened in January, killing 67 people.
What that data means, who has access to it, and what are those trends. And then and this is me specifically, after action reviews, that is so important, because that is where you're going to reveal some of that unanticipated risk. So those things you just didn't expect when you went out and conducted your operation or mission or whatever task you were conducting. So from the people, the governance, those meetings that we sit in, how we report the data, how we look at the data, but also how do we see ourselves, during those after-action reviews. And hopefully that's a good summary of, how I feel about our safety program.
Can we pull up the figure again? So those 5 safety officers that you mentioned, they're embedded in these different levels of the stack that you're in between Military District of Washington and Bravo Company?
So those 5 safety officers, they're going to be organic to 12th Aviation Battalion. At the brigade level, there's currently 2 trained safety professionals and 2 standardization officers.
Okay. And my understanding from the interviews that we conducted is that the commanding officers at each level are in charge of the safety program. They're accountable for the safety management process. But the safety officers provide the expertise to help manage that program. Is that right?
That is correct. So your company commanders, and for flight companies, they are your low-risk approval authorities. So Army captains, they're in charge of their company. Most companies are just less than 100 people. Those company commanders are going to look to their safety officers to execute their safety program.
Okay. If we can put the chart back up again, please. And so where do the safety officers receive their training? And is that depicted on this diagram someplace?
I'll take that answer. The safety officers receive training from the Combat Readiness Center, and the safety professionals receive training through Army Material Command.
Okay, thank you. Colonel DeForest, can you describe for us the difference between a near-midair collision as defined by the FAA and a near-miss as defined by the Army? And Brian, you can take the chart down now.
So a near-midair collision, based on the discussion I heard, is anything less than a mile or 400 feet, if I heard correctly. And then a near miss for the Army can include the ground and air. So we report it in 2 different ways.
Okay. What capability did your brigade have to identify near midair collisions or near misses involving Army helicopters in or near or in or below Class Bravo airspace near DCA?
Okay. So I would say the different layers that I look at when I view the airspace in the National Capital Region. So those that have access to the FAA, because I think they see the picture holistically. So 12th Aviation Battalion has a liaison in the Multi-Agency Contingency Coordination Center in Herndon, Virginia. So that liaison officer works alongside an FAA representative. Next is going to be a Joint Task Force NCR. They representatives, not organic to 12th Aviation, but in my chain of command, they hold a bi-weekly joint airspace protection working group. So if there's anything related to exercise using the airspace or airspace issues, they would talk about it then. And then certainly we participate in the DC the Rotary Wing Working Group, and also the SRMs as they occur. So those are the meetings that we attend and have representation in.
So the primary method would be to find out through those entities or processes?
Yes, for in-person interaction. There's also the reporting that can come from the U.S. Army Aeronautical Services Agency. I think I mentioned them on day one. So there's an Army representative titled the Department of the Army Regional Representative, and that's where the information flows down to. Most of the time, commonly, it goes to the battalion commander before it goes to a brigade commander. So that's where the unit would be informed of, say, a near miss.
Okay, so a near miss that involves a near midair collision would likely be reported to you through this liaison to the FAA. What's the name of that position again?
So the position, and it's typically a Army Lieutenant Colonel, so it's Department of the Army Regional Representative to the FAA.
Okay. So that's one mechanism that you might find out. In what ways could your pilots report this kind of an event?
So for, say you're out flying and you either hear that you may have caused a traffic advisory, resolution advisory, or you think you just participated in an unsafe act. So how this would go is you would report it on the radio to air traffic control, as much information as you could, and then you would, as a crew, discuss it either if you needed to return to base or continue your flight. You'd absolutely talk about it during your AAR and speak to the mission briefing officer that briefed you for that flight. So the conversation would continue post-flight, and based on the severity of the incident, absolutely, that's where the crews would put together a report, and it would be in ASMIS.
Can you define AAR?
After action review.
Okay, so it's our understanding that there were two reporting mechanisms available to the pilots. One was an ASMIS report, the Army Safety Management Information System. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the other is an operational hazard report. Which of these would be the preferred mechanism for reporting this kind of event?
So from my understanding, ASMIS is the preferred reporting. OHR, in my experience, is for austere locations. So if you don't have access to a computer, it's a form you'd fill out, say, in the field, and it would be later ingested into ASMIS.
And how long has ASMIS been in place as a reporting system of that type?
Since 2021.
Okay. So prior to ASMIS, was an OHR the method for reporting?
Yes, to my understanding.
Okay. All right. Had your helicopter pilots submitted any reports of near mid-air collisions in the DCA terminal area since you assumed command?
Not to my knowledge.
How would the crew of one of your helicopters become aware if their helicopter triggered a traffic alert or a TCAS resolution advisory in a commercial airplane while flying in this area?
They would not. Unless it was heard on the radio, they would not have a cockpit indication.
Did other D.C. area operators, either fixed wing or helicopter, ever inform the 12th Aviation Battalion or brigade staff about such conflicts during your tenure? Prior to the accident?
Not since I've been in the organization, no.
Okay. Did your brigade ever have reason to reach out to another operator over perceived conflicts, traffic conflicts?
Not to my own knowledge, no.
Did the FAA ever inform you about traffic conflicts between your helicopters and other operators in the area?
No, they did not.
All right, let's talk about the Army Regional Representative, designated Army Regional Representative. Did you have interactions with them in the 5 months before the accident?
Not in the 5 months before the accident.
Okay. Have you had interactions with them in previous commands?
Yes, I have.
What was the nature of those typically?
It would be for alleged pilot deviation.
Okay. Tell me about brigade participation in helicopter safety working groups for the D.C. area.
So we would, or at least the one that I know of that occurred, so at least one representative from the brigade attended. And this is, I think it was in August of 2024.
Do you remember, are you aware of anything that came out of that in terms of recommendations that might be relevant to this accident?
Nothing came out.
Okay. All right, summing up, did the Army Aviation Brigade or 12th Aviation Battalion have safety concerns about the potential for mid-air collisions along the D.C. helicopter routes before the accident occurred?
No, I think the biggest...
We have a number of power outages that we want to get to. We're looking at the Duke Energy outage map. You can see more than 13,000 outages in the Charlotte area alone, much of them going to be on the western side of Charlotte, southwest as well. That's because of those storms that rolled through the 5 and 6 o'clock hour with that line, of course, knocked a lot of this power out with those strong winds, 60 miles per hour or more that Brad was tracking during our 5, 6 o'clock news. So he was just here with the weather impact stream. At 7:30 they ended, so we'll get an update from him tonight at 11 o'clock. But something that we did see impacted was this outage map, apparently, especially with some of the down trees. We had reports of down trees all over, really, in North Charlotte. So we'll continue to watch this and monitor the power outages. Some of these do have an indication on when they will end. If you are at home and potentially listening on a device that maybe you're trying to charge and don't have any lights, just reach out to Duke Energy, see what they can do. Usually they update their information on this page pretty quickly, and they do work quickly as well. So again, we'll continue to update the situation as far as the outage outlook in Charlotte and beyond whenever we get an update on that. We'll go back to the NTSB hearing right now.
My primary duty is to advise the commander and his staff on safety matters.
What guidance did you rely on to advise him and help manage safety at the TAB?
Are you asking like prior experience?
No, I'm asking about Army guidance and policies. Which documents did you refer to?
We follow the Army Safety Program that's in Department of the Army Regulation 38510 and some criteria is in Department of the Army Pamphlet 38510.
What percentage of your time was devoted to aviation safety versus ground safety, environmental safety, occupational health?
I estimated that at least 50% of my time was devoted to aviation safety.
Okay, and how much of that was helicopter safety?
With program areas that we have in 4 battalions, an airfield division, 2 fixed wing, and helicopter. Not all of that 50% was devoted to helicopters, but I couldn't give you an exact number, I don't think.
You have the Army Aviation Brigade has a pretty diverse aviation operation. Is that fair?
That is fair to say.
Okay. Can you review again which battalions, how many battalions and which have which type aircraft?
The 12th Battalion has Black Hawk helicopters. Our battalion at Joint Base Andrews has 6 jet aircraft. Our fixed wing battalion Davison has a detachment that has 6 fixed-wing aircraft, and we run the airfield division that runs Davison Army Airfield and the Pentagon helipad.
Okay, that includes air traffic control personnel?
That's correct.
Okay. And so you and Colonel DeForest managed safety for all of those operations?
Affirmative.
And how many other safety officers did you have assisting you?
At brigade level, there's 2 of us. At each battalion, there's a battalion safety officer, and each flight company has an aviation safety officer, as well as the maintenance company has an aviation safety officer, and the ground companies would have unit safety officers.
Okay, and just to be precise, the second safety officer at the brigade level had recently joined the brigade just before the accident, is that correct?
That's correct. Started working a week of the mishap.
Okay. Okay, it's our understanding that the brigade did not have a program to monitor operational flight data from its UH-60 helicopters to ensure that, for example, they remain below maximum altitudes on the DC helicopter routes. Do you know why not?
I couldn't answer that question.
I will try. Yeah, DODI 6055.19 is the guidance from Department of Defense for the services to execute an MFOQA program. The Army has a portion of that in that we monitor flight data to support readiness through maintenance, as was mentioned earlier during the hearing. We have not been able to. It was an unfunded requirement. When it came to us, we have been unable to actually get started. We have gone back to OSD and told them that and asked if they could support with resources, and they said that they could not. So that's where we are at this point on our MFOQA program.
Okay.
Mr. McManus, OSD?
Office of the Secretary of Defense.
Okay. In the year or so before the accident, how often did the 12th Aviation Battalion receive safety reports from helicopter crews about flight safety related issues, either through ASMIS or OHR?
Could you clarify what you mean by safety reports? Did they receive them or did they submit them?
How often did you receive them from flight crews? Either, forwarded to you from the battalion level or directly to you at the brigade level?
And for what time period?
Say the year prior.
For the year prior, I received no operational hazard reports. For the year prior, on the near miss reports as defined by the Army, I don't have the number for that, but near miss reports from the first one they submitted in 2021 until the time of the mishap, the total was 5 of the 23 that were submitted across the entire brigade. 3 of those were for wildlife strikes, 1 was for an off-duty event, and 1 was for a pre-flight event where some tail rotor drive shaft covers were found left open.
Okay, so as far as flight safety related reports involving the helicopters at the 12th Battalion, it was about 4, and 3 of them were wildlife strikes?
1 was a ground aircraft pre-flight, 3 were in the air. None of them were near miss reports near DCA.
Okay. If a near mid-air collision involving a battalion helicopter occurred in or below the Class B airspace around DCA, how would that event be identified and evaluated? I guess we already talked about how you might find out about it, but how would you evaluate it and decide what action to take? And this is for either Mr. Stedman or Colonel DeForest.
Absolutely. So after, after that event would occur, the crews would talk about it. That would go to the mission briefing officer, ultimately the final mission approval authority. And that's where the conversation between the commander, the standardization officer, and the safety officer would discuss. Something like that, if it was a near miss, I want to know about it. Therefore, the battalion commander would be informed and I would be informed. How do you memorialize that in your aircrew training program? So the next steps would be to include it in the next safety council. Those are usually every month at the company level. And then it would be included in a quarterly safety and standardization meeting. Along those, so that's how we're capturing it across the organization. If there's an immediate change that needs to be made, the standardization section within the company would issue a standsgram. So that's it's a memorandum, and it would go into the aircrew information reading file. Really what that means is it's information that's distributed across the entire aircrew training program, so all crew members will see it, and they must review it before the next flight. So there's it's very, very timely in my opinion. So you're going to see it captured probably on a memo within a day or two. It will be discussed. That specific battalion does daily closeouts with leadership. They're going to communicate it across the other flight companies. Then it's going to work its way up to brigade, where the brigade standardization instructors, so I have a fixed wing and a rotary wing standardization instructor, they're going to look at it and review it. So within a day or two, it'll get to my level. And then dependent upon who else needs to know, because that's super important. Usually you're going to call the other aircrew, the other flight department, if you know who it is, so they know about it as well.
Is this wrapped into the mandatory quarterly Safety and Occupational Health Advisory Council meeting?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then what's the difference between that and the monthly Safety Council? Or is it the same thing?
Yeah, I'll take that one. The monthly meeting is a monthly safety meeting at the flight companies. The safety councils at the battalion are quarterly meetings that feed into the semi-annual SOHAC, which is Safety and Occupational Health Advisory Council. All of those meetings are the battalion safety meeting and the brigade SOHAC are held in conjunction with the aviation flight standardization meeting at the same time.
Okay. It's our understanding that the safety-related implications of such events were supposed to be handled at the lowest possible organizational level. Why is that?
That's published in Army guidance. Are you talking about a near mid-air collision report or just a near miss report?
I think this guidance pertains to OHRs, but I could be mistaken. But
so if an operational hazard report was filed, what the colonel said was the crew, if they perceived an in-flight hazard, would report that to ATC on the radio. Mm-hmm. Once they landed, if they were filling out an operational hazard report, they would give the piece of paper to their aviation safety officer or their operations officer. That report would be handled right away, and the report would be handled if it involved civil aircraft or civil ATC. A copy of that report would be sent to the FSDO and to the Department of the Army Regional Representative. And when we submit that report through the safety chain to them, we would request a written reply of their actions taken in the investigation while we conducted our own look into the matter at the brigade.
So I'm a little bit unclear on whether or not sometimes an event such as a near mid-air collision would be handled entirely through verbal communication versus documented in a report, either through a OHR or ASMIS. But can you comment on whether that would always be documented in a formal reporting system?
Yeah, so if they filed an operational hazard, or if they told their aviation safety officer about an operational hazard report that they had determined was a near mid-air collision, and they did not fill out the operational hazard report, their aviation safety officer would fill that report out and forward it through the chain. If they were to report it via the near-miss reporting system in ASMIS, the safety chain would get an email automatically that report was filed, take a look at it, And if it was for a near midair collision, then take action to get an OHR started and submitted through channels.
Okay. And then how would that information reach higher level Army safety organizations?
When we reported it through the Department of the Army Regional Representative, there are a few conditions where an operational hazard report would also go to the Army Combat Readiness Center, and we would report it to our higher command.
How did the Department of the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Environment, Safety, and Occupational Health, or DASA EOH, support your work as a safety officer? I'm asking you.
Any support that I got through that office would be through the Military District of Washington's safety manager.
Okay. What is your understanding of the Army Safety and Occupational Health and Management System, its purpose, origin, and status?
Army Safety and Occupational Health Management System we call ASOMS. We began using ASOMS in September of 2021. It's to improve our safety programs and to establish an SMS. I heard someone earlier talk about 4 pillars of their safety management system. The Army ASOMS has 6 capability objectives, and I think approximately 48 elements. I may be corrected in a minute if I'm wrong. Those are leadership engagement and personnel, soldier readiness, investigate reports and mishaps, incidents and illnesses, conduct safety and occupational health training and promotion, conduct inspections and assessments, conduct hazard analysis and develop countermeasures, and health protection and readiness are those capability objectives.
And I would add in my terms, it's moving from reactive to proactive over 3 phases. Right now, we're currently complete with phase 1, moving to phase 2.
And what is phase 1 and what is phase 2?
I'll take that. There are 3 stages to maturity, and I think I used the word in our interview, implementation. That's just the Army word. All 3 stages are progressing at the same time. It's just how you validate your maturity in each of those stages is my understanding. Ms. McDonald may correct me in a minute. But you get a baseline in each stage, and as you progress improving your safety program, you graduate out of a stage and baselined into the next stage of those 3 stages.
And stage 1 is implementation, or that describes all the stages?
Implementation of the program is ongoing in all 3 stages at the same time. So you may be 100% green in stage 1 and still be making progress in stages 2 and 3 at the same time because you're working toward all of those. It's just how you're evaluated on the maturity to move along the stages each time.
Okay, what's stage 1?
Stage 1 is, I think the acronym is Plan, Act, Do. If I'm getting that wrong, but so you have all the policies in place for a safety program that addresses all of those elements. Once you have all of those in place, then stage 2, from my understanding, is measuring, are you doing all of those things? And then once in stage 3, it's, to my understanding, is it effective? Is it improving the safety program? And then evaluating what you need to relearn as time has changed and things have been improving, what else you can go back and do. So it's just a continuous cycle of improvement.
Is this system intended to address aviation safety issues?
To my understanding, it's intended to address all of the functional areas of safety for the Army.
Okay, and which Army organization developed the guidance for this and has promulgated it?
I believe that would be Ms. McDonald's responsibility at the end of the table here.
Okay. All right, how did the U.S. Army Combat Readiness Center, USACRC, and the U.S. Army Aviation Center of Excellence support your work in safety?
We're cut into this. Earlier today, we did an interview with two business owners from a dispensary in the Charlotte area discussing two different bills in the North Carolina Senate and House right now that deal with legislation around the cannabis industry. Now, one of them deals with more age verifications and distribution methods, those type of situation. Another bill kind of clamps down on some of the things sold inside some of these dispensaries. So we talked to these business owners about how this could impact them, really what the industry is, what type of products are going to be sold or could be sold under this new legislation, and the impacts of that. Let's go to this now. Start with a couple of hemp bills here in North Carolina. There's been a lot of discussion, and I know for now regulators are in recess. They'll be back in the next month or so. But Governor Josh Stein in June just asked for the creation of this North Carolina Advisory Council on Cannabis, trying to recognize some of what the industry looks like in North Carolina, getting experts involved in that. And so let me just set the scene, because there are two bills that have been really discussed here at the state level. And we do have two guys, two experts, in my opinion, who own a dispensary in the area, who are talking about their business and how this could be impacted to them. But we'll get to them in just 1 second. But first, North Carolina House Bill 328. It's a recent piece of legislation here in North Carolina that is really trying to regulate, which is really a growing hemp industry in the state. It's exploding in North Carolina. And really this is all about aiming to regulate these certain types of products, whether it's THCA, Delta 9, Delta 8. There are certain amounts that will be allowed in terms of this law, right? And so I don't necessarily want to say that there are no laws on the books with this. Obviously, you have to be at a certain age to have CBD cannabis products within North Carolina already, but there are in House Bill 328 some testing requirements, packaging requirements. There's a ton of other things. And then the biggest thing is the age restriction of this that really prohibits the sale to anyone under 21 years old. Then you have Senate Bill 265, which is totally different. And this is also an age restriction bill in some respects, but really fine-tuning the regulation of sales, production, and distribution. So testing standards, school grounds ban, that's a big one, part of this. Penalties. So there are a number of guidelines that go along with these bills. And folks both for this and against it as well. And we did reach out to some regulators who have sponsored this bill, one from Gastonia, who I'm still waiting to hear back from. Have not gotten them to get back with me just yet, but as I said, I do know they're on recess. So hoping to get the other side in terms of what they're trying to do at the state to regulate these products. But let's bring in Drew and Eric, who are the co-owners, or the owners, I should say, of we have Carolina High Life dispensaries here in Charlotte. Guys, appreciate your time. Let's just start with the impacts. I know you guys have been vocal about this and what this could do to the industry. So let's start with the industry. Give me some really good bits of information, because there's a lot of stigma around cannabis. It's a stigmatized type of word. I think folks are. It's not necessarily something that they're in the dark about, right? But normally people don't talk a lot about it. So let's just start there. Talk about the industry you guys are in, and like I said, it's exploding right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah. First of all, thanks for having us on, Colin. We're always happy to talk about cannabis. I don't know about expert goes. Maybe we're experts in actually smoking the cannabis, but some of these laws, are newer, and we're trying to learn ourselves about them. But just kind of introducing, cannabis and hemp to North Carolina, if you don't know about it, I mean, it's medicine. That's first and foremost what it is from the earth. It's such a better alternative than any of the prescription drugs you're looking at, or if you're just looking to have a good time. It's such a much better alternative than alcohol, So we're trying to educate our customers. We're trying to put the word out. We need to end some of these stigmas, like the devil's lettuce and stuff, and how it's bad for you, makes you lazy, all this stuff. Trying to end all that and just educate people and just talk about how good of a plant it is and how it's great for this community in multiple ways.
especially if it's grown right and if it's sold right, then that's the most important thing. You don't want to just be putting anything in your body. So that is why we have a store the way we do. So just let people know there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And if we can educate them, then we can help them make the right decision on what they're doing with themselves.
I love that. Now let's talk about some of the products that are not only on your shelves but on North Carolina's shelves, as a whole. What type of products do you guys have? And again, these are within regulation here in North Carolina, so these are products that you can get over the counter that are totally legal, correct?
Absolutely.
Correct. So we have two different styles of business, I would say. Carolina High Life is really focused on high quality, 100% organic products. None of the BS in there, just all the good stuff, like the good stuff of the plant. Because cannabis, the industry of cannabis is just like any other industry. Like I'll compare it to fast food or food in general, I should say. You can have a really nice steak or you could buy a McDonald's hamburger. Which one do you want? Not all cannabis is created equal. Not all food is created equal, just like, the alcohol industry or whatever. So what we try to focus is on that higher end, right? The organic steak product, if you will, because when you go to the lower end, kind of what Eric was saying is you get some of these fillers in there or these things like THCP that shouldn't be in there. They're just trying to much like a McDonald's hamburger, they're trying to cut costs.
Yeah,
They're trying to cut their own costs.
make more money.
It's all about the bottom line.
Yeah, they don't care
Right.
about the person. They just want to make the quickest dollar they can. And we don't want that to happen. We want the plant to be consumed the right way. We want people to enjoy it the right way.
And not harm their bodies.
Yeah, not harm their bodies because doing these other things, you never know the long-term aspects of it.
Yeah, we don't know what THCPs can do to you in 5 years. It just came out.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only reason it was invented was because to create a filler for these non-legal states like North Carolina, you can't ship a THC disposable to North Carolina, but you can ship a THCP disposable to North Carolina. What is THCP? Well, a lot of people, the jury's still out on what it is and is it good for you? We don't think it's good for you, but nobody knows really is it good for you or not because it hasn't had time to be tested and tried and put through all the ringer there. So what we try to do is just give you, the customer, the best product, the most organic product. We don't want you to put anything in your body that we wouldn't put in our own bodies, right?
Exactly.
Or anything that's going to potentially harm you in the future. Like we're just trying to provide medicine and a good time and not cause any side effects, right? Like alcohol and these other places do. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that was a great answer. I think that lets people know, right? I think that was a great comment, right? You're not selling anything that you wouldn't put in your own body. So I think that lets people know, what type of standard you guys hold your product to. So that's great to hear. Let's talk about the impact to business that both of these, HB 328 and SB 265. In terms of, we don't have to get into the politics of this because I know it's been very politicized lately, but what could this do to your business? Because it seems like certain products could literally be wiped off the shelves. And a lot of products have some of these things like, Delta 9, there's a specific amount of Delta 9 supposed to have it. And I know you guys know that, Delta 8. So just kind of explain what that looks like for us, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. I think it comes down to a couple things with these bills. And, Eric and I can't really talk about the politics of it. We're not in Raleigh. We barely know what a bill is. We hope this one passes. So we don't know a lot about the politics, but what we do know is what's happening on the street. And what I can tell you is just having dispensaries open like ours is eliminating a lot of the drug dealers or plugs or whatever you call it out on the streets because for a few reasons. Or for the first reason is it's the same price. You can buy an eighth from us for $40. You go to the gas station and meet Willie Lump Lump, you can buy an eighth for $40. Which one are you going to choose? Are you going to go to the gas station, potentially get robbed? Or are you going to come in a safe environment where you have choices? Things have been tested. That we're scanning IDs. We're not giving away our products to children. You have to have it. We have an ID scanner in our store. So what we are doing is we are eliminating the plugs because they can't keep up with us. It's the same price. Everybody eventually is going to come to our stores, right? So that does a couple of things. I think these bills, what they're concerned about is keeping
regulation,
is keeping these products out of the reach of children, right? Well, by having these stores and regulating the process, you're eliminating the plug out there, right? You're eliminating the drug dealer. And the kid, they're not going to be around anymore to sell to your children. They're not going to be at the gas station because they're not going to exist. We're going to take over the market, all these legal dispensaries, and we're carding everybody. We have to. We're checking IDs. So the minors, the amount of drugs getting into the minor hands is actually going to be reduced.
Absolutely.
If you ask me. And then on the same token, people care about keeping it out of the kids' hands, right? And they also care about the health risk.
Yes.
Like you want to know what you put in your body. You don't want to put these chemicals, these synthetic nutrients that they use to grow the product.
You don't want to spray. You don't want to spray product. Yeah, you don't want to spray product, or you don't want any kind of PGRs or anything put in inside your medicine that you're taking. That's not very healthy for you at all. It's not good.
It can cause cancer.
Yeah, and you never know the effects. The effects of it, especially if you have children that are getting it off the street, which we want to keep that from happening. So that's one of the ways we can do it, by having these type of stores.
Yeah. A quick story. We have a customer. He started out with us and he moved here from Ohio. He didn't have anywhere to go when he moved here. He didn't know where to buy his product from, where to buy his medicine from. He went to a gas station and bought it, and that product was laced with fentanyl. And he was in the hospital for 3 days just because he didn't have a source to go to, a trusted source to go to. So we're looking out for the health, the general health of the public. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to put anybody at risk. So you got the youth, you got the health, and then just the revenue aspect of it. I mean, put 2% on all sales, all cannabis sales in North Carolina, and do something with that money. Do something good with it. Pay the teachers more. Build, fix the roads. Take advantage. Don't not take advantage of the money that's going to be coming in this billion-dollar industry.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can make your state better.
Yes.
Why would you not make your state better? And you're protecting children, and you're keeping everybody safe at the same time. That's what this regulation does. Now, on the other end, if you go away and I think it's House, he says 328, right, Con? If you go away from that and you eliminate the regulation, then you're asking for more plugs out there. You're asking for the streets to be flooded, with these products that are dangerous.
Yes.
You're not bringing any revenue in for your state. So to me and Eric, this is like a no-brainer. Like, let's figure it out. I think the governor's trying to do that with his council. Let's figure it out and let's move forward, and then everybody wins in the end, right?
I think so. And that's the last piece that I was going to ask you is about that council, because I know that you guys specifically on your social media pages, nearing the end of that conversation. But if you do want to see all of it in its entirety, you can head over to WCNC Plus, which is the app you are watching this through. But you can find all of our former interviews on there. There's a lot of good stuff there as well. So if you already have it downloaded, tell your family and friends. We'll see you tonight at 11.